doing an Authority magazine today with Erin Barrett, and we are going to be discussing thriving through menopause, wellness tips for women over 45. And Erin Barrett is an expert in nutrition, metabolic biochemistry, and associated diseases, including obesity and diabetes. At Shaklee, Erin is responsible for translating science into an innovative pipeline from strategy to the development of decision logic, data analytics to optimize and test logic, and the development and launch of both physical and digital products. Erin has her PhD in nutritional biochemistry from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, her MS in clinical research from Indiana University, and her MS in biochemistry and molecular biology from Georgetown University. Wow, Erin, my goodness. Thank you for joining me today.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, so let's talk about all things menopause. I'm 52, I'm in the thick of it, and I just can't wait to hear what you have to say. Tell us a little bit about what Shaklee is and how you're helping women really thrive during this time in their life.
Yeah, of course. So Shaklee is a health and wellness company, and we're all about really taking holistic approaches to health and wellness. So we provide supplements. We've developed supplements for various life stages, including women's health and transitioning through menopause. We also have products for your face, youth products for your body, and home products as well. But like I said, it's really about this holistic approach to wellness. So we offer that through supplementation, but also, educating on for menopause specifically, how to manage, how to really embrace this life phase and take it head on. So educating on what is happening to our body, things that we can do to help manage symptoms, things that we can do, manage hot flashes, night sweats, help us sleep better, help us deal with the brain fog that often comes with menopause, help us deal with, the weight gain, the body changes that often happen during this life phase. So really just empowering these women through education, and also, of course, with nutrition products that can help them along the journey.
Wow. Well, that is something that is much, much needed in the marketplace for sure. So give me an idea of what type of nutrition you would recommend for a woman who's struggling with menopause symptoms like hot flashes and night sweats. Sure. What should she be focused on eating and, having in her diet that's like an absolute must?
Okay. So I have a colleague that told me this story that I absolutely love. So in the Asian population, there wasn't a word for hot flashes until just recently. And the reason for that is because they're incredibly rich diet of soy. So soy is a phytoestrogen. So that means what it's doing is it contains compounds that are mimicking the effects of estrogen. So because it's mimicking the effects of estrogen, it can help to minimize a lot of those, symptoms that come with this transition. So it was only until recently, when a lot of these women started adopting Western diets, that they created a word for hot flashes. So that's one of the biggest tips that I have, is to really be loading up on phytoestrogen rich foods. So that's going to be things like soy, soy milk, soy-based proteins. Shaklee has a great soy-based protein product called Life Shake. So I definitely recommend that. I'm starting through that transition right now, and I have my soy Life Shake, soy-based protein every single morning. And then also it's in things like edamame and tofu. So that would be my first recommendation for really helping to manage those hot flashes, those night sweats that women often experience by consuming those foods that mimic estrogen and therefore help to minimize its effects. But then, there's a lot of other foods that I think are really valuable during this transition. We think about, I have a hard time saying symptoms, but, air quote symptoms. One of the things, of course, that happens is weight gain, right? We see our bodies start to change with those, declines in estrogen, declines in progesterone. Oftentimes women start to gain weight and see changes in their body. So loading up on protein, again, I mentioned the Life Shake is going to be really, really helpful. It's going to help, it's a very satiating nutrient, right? So that means it's going to help to keep you full for longer, right? Help keep you full, help to, help you reach and maintain a healthy weight. But then the other really important thing is it's going to help to build lean muscle. And I don't know if a lot of people know this, but right, lean muscle is metabolically active. So that means it's always burning calories, when you're active, when you're resting. So you really want to be focusing on building that lean muscle, during this transition to really, keep your metabolism going and help support a healthy weight. So phytoestrogen rich foods, protein rich foods. I can hit on a couple other things.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to hear. Tell me.
Okay. So, another thing that obviously happens as women transition through menopause is we see declines in bone health and increases in risks of osteoporosis. And the reason for this is because estrogen, what it actually does, so our bone is constantly turning over, right? We're building bone, we're breaking it down, we're building bone, we're breaking it down. And what estrogen does is it helps to slow that breakdown of bone. So when we go through menopause and we see those declines in estrogen, that can accelerate that bone loss. So during this transition, women, we see an increase in bone loss. We see an increase in osteoporosis risk. So really loading up on foods that are rich in calcium. Calcium is going to help to build bone. Vitamin D is really important for calcium absorption. So making sure that you're eating foods that are rich in those two nutrients is going to be really, really important. And of course, at Shaklee, we have a couple great supplements. These are nutrients that people have a really hard time getting enough of from their diet. So supplementing to help fill those gaps, get all that calcium you need, all that vitamin D you need is really important. So we have a product called Osteomatrix that contains both calcium and vitamin D, as well as a product that just contains vitamin D called Vita D3. So the loading up on the calcium and vitamin D is important, but then also weight-bearing exercise is going to be really helpful for our bones as well, right? So doing those exercises like running or jogging or walking, anything where your feet are hitting the ground, that's going to help to support the health of your bones as well as you transition through this phase.
So my new favorite thing that I purchased was a weighted vest that I use.
Oh yeah.
For my walks and my hikes, and anytime I do cardio when I'm not doing, specific weight training at the gym or resistance bands or TRX. And oh my gosh, I like the difference in my workouts of my heart rate and, can feel it in my legs, can feel it in my back, can feel it in my core. I'm just such a big believer now in these weighted vests, any kind of weight like that. Yeah, for bone health and strength and muscles.
I've seen them for wrists and ankles, but I love the
weighted. Right over. Yeah. And it's great. And it has little pockets for your phone. And, it's like, of course, like, they made it all very practical, which I like too, right? Super important, right? When you're going to go out for a walk, you got to have all your things with you. So yeah. I love that you touched on brain health. I love that you touched on weight gain. I think vitamin D is something that's a chronic issue for women. Especially if they're not getting their blood work done once a year. They don't even really know where their vitamin D levels are. And I coach with a lot of women that have sleep issues and insomnia. And the first thing I do is have them check their vitamin D. And 99.9% of the time, it is so obscenely low. And I appreciate that you bring up supplementation on that, because there's also this misnomer that, you can just lay out in the sun and you can get enough vitamin D. And not everybody can methylate vitamin D like that. And not everybody's getting sunlight now, right? Especially as you age. Covering up your skin, you're wearing a lot of sunscreen. Yeah. And so vitamin D supplementation, I think, is really, really important. Can you talk about nutrition wise, the best places to find foods that are full of vitamin D and calcium? Obviously, we all know dairy products for calcium, but not everybody eats dairy products. A lot of women stop, eating dairy products or find that it just doesn't agree with them. So what else can they focus on that will help their bones?
Sorry, did you say they would prefer not to have dairy?
I find that a lot of women, they're not eating dairy or not consuming enough dairy to get the calcium levels that they need. So what else would you recommend?
Yeah, that of course is a great place to start, low fat or non-fat dairy. But if that's something you're trying to avoid or have challenges with, leafy greens are a great place to get vitamin D. Fatty fish are good sources of vitamin D, especially like vitamin D fortified foods. Honestly, these are with both of these are nutrients of concern across the board because people just have such a hard time getting those foods that are rich in vitamin D and calcium. And like you said, I think a lot of it has to do with our rich source of calcium is dairy-based products. And we know a lot of people are choosing to limit or avoid those for various reasons. So, I don't know if you're familiar with the NHANES survey that goes out, right? So we see that, like you said, 97% of people aren't getting enough vitamin D. It's over 60% that aren't getting enough calcium. So again, I just think this is a great place that in addition to those foods I mentioned, the leafy greens, the fatty fish, the vitamin D fortified foods, that supplementation is just a great way to get those nutrients and fill those gaps. And especially if you have a dietary preference or restriction that really limits the accessibility to these nutrients, right? That a quick and easy tablet capsule chewable is such a smart way to get that.
Yeah, especially if you're really busy too, right? Like most women
100%.
have 30 balls that they're juggling in the air at this time. So I agree with you. I think that supplementation has its purpose and is important for women. Now talk to me about magnesium. Magnesium is also something that I always think is better in a supplementation form, but what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, magnesium is, I feel like it's super hot right now, right? You read any nutrition article and magnesium is definitely a trending ingredient. Obviously, it has roles in, bone health. It has roles in muscle health. I see it being recommended and, so regularly for sleep challenges. We see that, of course, as a major issue for women who are transitioning through menopause, oftentimes as a consequence of those hot flashes, I guess, which we call night sweats in the evening. We're just having a hard time sleeping. Maybe also because, as estrogen is declining, we see changes in neurotransmitters that affect our mental health. Sorry, I'm going tangential here, but our mental health can affect, our ability to sleep, fall asleep, stay asleep, sleep well. So I think magnesium is, a really powerful, nutrient that you can supplement with to help you sleep, really relax your muscles, and, fall asleep and relax and get that good night's sleep. Yeah, so I think for bone health, for sleep, that's a nutrient that definitely we should be looking to help support women through this transition.
All right, thank you. Okay, so in your article, you touched on 5 things that women can do to thrive through menopause. So do you want to just briefly go over those? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on what you think are the most important things that women should be focusing on during this time.
So, I think the biggest thing, and this kind of carries through all of the 5 recommendations that I have, is embrace this change, right? It's inevitable, whether, it's natural or, otherwise. This is something that we're going to go through and experience. And we have the opportunity to see this as a fresh start. It's kind of like the new year. We're transitioning to this new phase of life, and we can see it as an opportunity again to kind of start fresh. So we can establish new habits, pursue new things, kind of create a refresh for some of the things that we're currently doing. Maybe you always loved art, but you never had an opportunity or time to pursue it. This is a great time to say, okay, this is a new phase of my life. I'm embracing it. I'm going to start something new. Maybe you haven't exercised previously. Again, great opportunity to say, you know what, this is the time. I know how important, how valuable this is for me as I transition, through this phase. So I'm going to, pursue, exercise now. So I think, that's the first thing, is really just embrace this and take charge and say, hey, this is coming. I know it's here, and use it as an opportunity for a fresh start. I think the second thing is, oftentimes we think, like we're going through this. We let menopause control us. It's like this inevitable, we're going to have hot flashes. We're going to have night sweats. I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to, start gaining weight. But, like we've talked about today already, is there are so many things that we can do to help us along this journey, right? So my second recommendation would be to really take charge. take charge with authority, and do all the little things that you can do to help you along this journey. So again, a lot of the things we hit on, but focus on eating well. We know there are foods. We've already talked about these things, these foods that can help us, manage some of these symptoms that crop up during this phase. Also being really active. We know that the physical activity is going to help us sleep better, which we know is often something that we struggle with during menopause. It might help with our stress and our mood challenges. It's going to help with managing a healthy weight, right? It's going to help to build that lean muscle. All of these benefits to staying physically active. And then, just little things that we can do. So it's really just this holistic approach to health and wellness, prioritizing sleep, managing stress. We talked about considering supplements. There are all these little things that we can do to take charge, not let menopause control us, but really take charge of it and do all the little things to really help us along this journey. So that would be the second recommendation. The third recommendation is really about building a community, right? Just like with anything, this can be a really, really challenging time in life for people. For many people, it feels like it marks, I'm getting older. It's a shift in identity. There's a lot of things that can come with it that can be really heavy. So building a supportive community, surrounding yourself by friends and family, joining support groups, these are great ways to connect with women who are going through the same types of things, learning from other women, things that they did that worked. Even sharing what you've done. I think that can really be powerful for you to share what you have done, what has been helpful, and help other women as they transition through this. I mentioned this right when we started, but Shaklee is all about this very much a holistic approach to health and wellness. And one thing we do is we have monthly wellness communities. And this would be one thing I would encourage women to join as well. These wellness communities, of course, we offer, products that can help you through this transition, but then also education, tips, tricks, all the little things that you can be doing to really help you throughout this transition. So supportive community is the third thing I would recommend. The fourth thing, and, power is knowledge, right? So if you stay informed, if you stay educated, this is going to be so incredibly powerful and valuable through menopause. So regularly go to your doctor, women's health, specifically physician who is up to date on all the different things that you can do to help you, to talk to you about what's working, what's not, what you may be struggling with, and, really be with you to support you. Also, there are so many things available online. We live in such a digital era, right? That you can find a class online if you want to learn more about like what exactly is happening to my body during perimenopause, during menopause, post-menopause, like what's happening. So you can really understand these changes and what's triggering them. And, if we understand what's triggering them, we can figure out what things we can do to help, manage or mitigate or lessen the symptoms. So really just staying informed, reading books, even just like reading people's personal memoirs about, I know they're out there about, what their experiences were like going through menopause. I think it can be really, really helpful. So staying informed, staying educated, again, it's all part of what I said initially of like embracing this change, and really doing everything you can to, prepare yourself and set yourself up for the best possible transition through menopause. And then the last thing, we've touched on this a little bit too, is prioritizing your mental health and your emotional well-being. There are so many reasons why this can be an emotionally, mentally tough time for women, right? We talked about I'm getting older. I'm seeing changes in my body. I feel this identity shift. I'm seeing all these physical changes. Maybe I'm gaining weight. My body looks different. I'm not remembering things as well. All the things that come with menopause. So, making sure that you're taking the time to support your mental health is so important. And I think some of the things that I mentioned earlier can do that. Eating a well-balanced diet, making sure you're getting the nutrients that fulfill your body to support its needs. That's going to help your mental health. Exercising. We know that exercise increases those endorphins, right? That can support your mental health. Prioritizing sleep, getting good sleep is going to help support your mental health. Building a community. So all, the previous 4 tips that I mentioned are, all going to help to support your mental health. But yeah, so those are the 5 things that I would recommend. Embrace this change and really take charge.
Wonderful. Oh my gosh. I think those tips are incredible. Menopause is having such a great rebrand right now, and I'm so glad that you are a part of it. I'm so glad to have this conversation about it. Authentic aging is what I call it. And I really, really love the fact that women now have the choice to age the way they want to age, whether they use hormone replacement or they don't, whether they let their hair go gray or they don't. It doesn't really matter. It's whatever feels good to you, whatever makes you feel good inside your body, and helps you to thrive as you age in this, what I call the third spark, is I think the most important thing. And I feel like you would agree with that as well.
I love that so much.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. So where can people connect with you? How can they find you? How can they find Shaklee? Tell me about it.
Sure. So the best way to connect with me is probably LinkedIn. So Erin Barrett on LinkedIn is probably the best way to connect with me. And Shaklee, you can find us online at shaklee.com. Again, we have wonderful products for, nutrition products as well as products for your skin, your body, and your home. But then in addition to our products, we are all about holistic health and wellness and really providing you with all the tools and tricks and tips to live well for longer.
Fantastic. All right, Erin, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
This has been a wonderful conversation. And again, I'm Shawna Robins, CEO and founder of Third Spark. And I appreciate you joining me today so that we can do this interview for Authority Magazine.